You have to acknowledge that you're worth it. If we expect others to do that, before we do that, we'll be waiting a while.
Dr. John Demartini is the king of conquering challenges. From being born deformed, unable to walk, speak, read, or write, Dr. John Demartini has transformed lives worldwide, including mine, for 51 years with his signature event, the Breakthrough Experience. Doctor is now a healer, polymath, world-renowned speaker, best-selling author, and has an award-winning documentary film made about his life and his Demartini method and the Breakthrough Experience. That's my legal name, Liberty Justice. I have a huge mission, Doctor. You said, I want to say exactly how you said it on the movie. You said, instead of being a victim of history, you can be a master of your destiny. You have no idea how much you mean to me. I mean, I'm so grateful because some things that happened recently, and I was trying to fight. I felt guilty, basically, and I was trying to fight it, and because people try to, like you said, people try to enforce their values on you, and I allowed other. It's not like they didn't. Nobody makes me. People try to say, "Well, you made me feel this way." That's not true. But I felt like I owed basically my family, and I felt guilty because they kept telling me, and I'm like, look, this is most important to me. God gave me this mission. I own a business. You know, I'm starting out. I'm not making any money, right? And so things got so bad, and finally I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna forget about that. I don't need to talk to them, text them, be on beck and call. I don't need to feel guilty about that, right? And I'm not going to let them say things to me like I'm a bad person because I want money. So this listening to you helped me kind of really basically reinforce the things that God was already telling me for years, you know? And ever since I had that, and like put that into my body and started practicing my highest values, my business is, and like, if you look at my YouTube channel, if I look at all the metrics and everything, it's proving to be true. You know what I mean? It's like, this is actually, and I just feel better in my body.
Well, our physiology, our psychology, our surrounding sociology offer feedbacks to us, guide us to our most authentic and inspired and productive selves. So everything that's going on in our business, our economics, relationship, feedbacks. And many people around us, see, nobody's like a genie there dedicated to us. They're dedicated to what their values are.
Right.
And so if they see you doing something that challenges their values, they're going to probably speak back and try to do what they think is caring and loving to you. It may be not really in line with what you want. So you just say thank you, and then, but no thank you. I'm going to trust the voice and the vision on the inside more than opinions on the outside. I'm going to fulfill what I feel is my calling. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't get feedback and use that feedback to refine. But you know, I was told by when I first opened up my practice many years ago, about 42 years ago, I had a financial planner that said, you know, you make more income practicing than you do speaking at that time. And that was true. But I told him, I said, I'm going to practice for a period of time, and I'm going to be traveling around the world. And within just a short period of time, I'll be traveling internationally speaking. And he said, your finances don't show that. And I said, I realize that. But let's talk 6 months from now. Let's talk a year from now. Let's talk 2 years from now. And I bet you that changes. Well, I eventually decided to get a different financial plan. And then about 18 years later, I saw him at one of my conferences. And he said, I assumed that a doctor would make more than a speaker at the time, and I kept pushing you back into the doctoring. And I said, but I knew I was going to doctoring. I was going to delegate the doctoring, you might say, and the healing profession, and get doctors to work for me, and I was going to go out and present myself. And I did. And that's what builds the clinic, and that's what built work around the world. And he said, do you mind if we can go to lunch? I said, sure. And he said, I'd like to talk to you about maybe giving me some tips on how I can start a speaking business. So sometimes people will ridicule you, oppose you, even get aggressive at times because you're challenging their perceptions and their values.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's wise to just stick to what you and your heart know. I knew a boy that basically started out and says, I want to play the piano. And everybody said, well, he would be a starving artist, should be this, should be that, that. Well, he's now at 78 years. He's 80, almost 78 years of playing the piano. He's made millions of dollars doing it. And that's what he loves doing. And he looked back at all the people that told him that was crazy. And those are the people that eventually showed up in his performances in great halls around the world.
Yep. And that's why I think like it's so important. No, I don't see it in my finances. I don't see it here and there and there, but that's not the way it works. You have to do the work first, and then you are the example. Like you said, you exemplify the vision and the thing that you want to share. You have to become that first.
And when you're wanting to generate an income, not everybody's going to oppose you. You're going to have way more people that are going to acknowledge you in all probability. You'll just have some high concentrated people that won't understand. But to be great is to be misunderstood, as Emerson said. But it still requires that you create, from what's inspiring to you, a product, service, or idea that truly meets people's needs. And as the metrics show, if people are more and more listening, it starts to meet needs. So if you're meeting people's needs and serving human beings, you increase the probability of receiving. But you do have to value yourself. You have to acknowledge that you're worth it. If we expect others to do that, before we do that, we'll be waiting a while.
That's right.
Acknowledge that we have a value and do our best to serve people and really meet their needs more effectively and efficiently than alternative people. We increase our ability to get to the top.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I always say like the name of my business is I'm worth it, but I'm devaluing myself. I stopped giving as much, and now I'm giving way more than I've ever given because I know that I'm worth it. And I know I have to practice to get, like you said, you have to practice and get better to go from your being a doctor and going into speaking.
You have to acknowledge that you're worth it. If we expect others to do that, before we do that, we'll be waiting a while.
Watch all of my episodes with Dr. Demartini and Evan Carmichael in the playlist Minute with a Millionaire. It's right here. Click the screen or the description. On the next episode with Dr. Demartini.
I'm saying it's an event. Now, how do you use it to your greatest advantage? In our society, we like to label things. We label things good and evil, and we have moral hypocrisies. We don't understand repressions and expressions in society. And so we have these ideals and these fantasies about how life's supposed to be. But the truth is, everybody has challenges in their life, and that's usually what makes them great. You have to acknowledge that you're worth it. If we expect others to do that, before we do that, we'll be waiting a while.